This is the review of the Zeppon Micro 2 motorized slider. Let's do our usual good points and bad points.
Action!
First off, some backstory and educational aspect of what a slider is. A slider allows you to move your camera left to right so that you have a bit of movement when you're shooting your video. Well, movement makes your video looks more interesting like this. And then we have a few problems when you use a slider. The biggest one is getting that consistent movements from left to right or right to left so that it looks fluid and not jarring. Can be difficult. And this aspect is made worse when you're moving your camera on a slider and then you have to pan left, tilt up and down and then pull focus. That makes things worse and you're gonna end up movement jerky like this. And that's why the solution to this is a motorized slider. So motorized slider has two good points about it. Number one, you get consistent speed when you move them. Number two, you can move them in a precise manner. You can do a lot of special effect when you're filming your video. More on that later on. And not too long ago, Zeppon, a brand from China, sent me this slider, the Micro 2, for review. Visit their website, interesting products they have. And disclaimer, this is not a paid review. This product was sent to us. My director and I really used it for an actual shoot, and this is what we find out. Good point number one, the price. I've got to get this out of the picture. Look at the price. Look at Edelkron's motorized slider. It's about 1/4. It's one of the most affordable one. So now those who have the budget can continue watching. Those who don't have the budget like me would just need to go back to work. Work harder, save some money, buy yourself a motorized slider. So the slider that I reviewed is the Zeppon Micro 2, which then sits on top on the Easy Lock 2, which then sits on top of my tripod. And here is the interesting part. It's an all-inclusive package. So it's easy to set up and there's nothing to install. And that's the good point number two. Good point number three, this motor here is so strong, it can lift the weight of 4.5 kilogram and move it left to right, so you can really put on your heaviest lens and camera and LCD panel and still all be fine. The build of the Micro 2, it's amazing, it's solid, it's robust, and I really love this. I'm a sucker for anything that's built robust because my crew, they work like Tarzan. Demolition crew. Jesus, you give them anything that's not solid, not robust, they're gonna screw it up. So this is really well built. So there are actually 3 speed settings. You have the slow, medium and fast. You would expect that having a motor on a filming set is going to be noisy. Here's the impressive part. The motor virtually has no noise when it's slow and medium settings. So when you set this to fast setting, you can actually hear a bit. But it's still almost noiseless. That's quite impressive. And that's the thing when you're going out to buy yourself a motorized slider, you wouldn't want it noisy. It's got to be silent like your Canon's ultra silent lens when it's focusing. That's how silent it's supposed to be. This is the workhorse battery for most of our filming equipment, and the slider uses this battery. And with the smallest configuration of this Sony battery, it can last 3 hours. So the battery consumption is amazing. It's really power saving. I just hate it when you're filming and then you have to change like batteries 12 times during the whole day shoot. A little bit like that Sony camera we're using. Jesus, we have to change like 6 to 7 batteries. So we don't have this problem with the Micro 2. Its power consuming attributes are amazing. The next good point, you must be thinking, look at the Micro 2, it's called a Micro 2, that means it's so short. Wouldn't it be amazing? Yeah, it's the amazing secret. It doesn't exactly move from this end to this end. It actually extends itself and the total travel distance is 60 centimeters. So that's quite impressive enough. That's 60 centimeters, right? This is half a meter. That's about this much. It goes from left to right. That's a lot of movement actually if you ask me. You can actually download apps and install on your phone and smartphone and then do customization of the movement of the slider. You don't actually need to do that because if you look at it, the slider has a lot of buttons all over it, which makes the app cool to have. You know, you can actually hold your smartphone and start doing all this configuration. But the good point is that if you hate using your smartphone during filming, you can still use the buttons. And that's truly a good point. You can actually like yell out to somebody else and have your first assistant do all this for you. I mean, if you're a director, you shouldn't be moving. Let the first assist move and let the slider move. You should just yell instruction. That's a good point. So because of that, you can actually customize the movement of your camera. You can do a point A to point B, or you can do a point A to point B and then loop back continuously. That's pretty cool for time-lapse or hyperlapse. And here are the bad points. You would have thought that having such a strong motor is an advantage. Well, at this one, it's not. Because if you want to move this slider manually, a motor that can move 4.5 kilogram of weight is something that you cannot move. So there will be no movement manually. You cannot move the slider manually. That's because the motor's torque is that strong. So bad point, you cannot like adjust this manually. So you just have to move your tripod. And here's the second bad point. Since you cannot move the slider manually, so the slider has to come to a stop on its own, which is one of the bad points, is that it's at the mercy of the slider, which is why it stops and it's not so fast. So the third bad point is that, well, this is a common bad point that cinematographers or movie makers like us have. The slider is never long enough. Really. But you know what? Plan your takes. Know when to cut and it's gonna be perfect. I mean, 60 centimeters from one end to another is pretty long. Well, you know what? I've done a simple video to show you how we use this slider. Enjoy yourself. And here's the verdict. It's got more good points than bad points. So I would give this product, and considering the price, I would say 5-star product. So don't you think that it's time that you visit the website, check out their product, and stop moving your camera wobbly on 2 PVC tubes. Go get yourself a motorized slider. Maybe you can have a smoke when the camera is sliding. You can just like, let the slider does its work. I really hate it when we need to move the slider and then every time we got the take good and the audio and the dialogue from the actor and actresses are good and then somebody moved the speed not consistent. That's quite annoying. So if you like what you've been watching in our channel, don't forget, share the videos, subscribe, hit the bell button, and don't forget, visit our website as well. There are a lot of e-learnings in that website and I hope you continue watching our video. I'll see you soon.